Coming up on this episode of The Sword. Back to school. Students return to Kennedy after a year of online learning. We'll take a look at the last 2 months of what it's been like for teachers and students as they make their way back. What's the origin of Halloween? We'll take a look at the history of Halloween while getting a great fall recipe. All that and more on this episode of The Sword. Welcome, Cavaliers, to The Sword, Kennedy High School's news magazine show, where we take an in-depth look at unique stories. I'm your host, Akila Lewis. There have been a lot of changes in learning over the last 2 years. After more than a year of online learning, we've had to make some adjustments along the way. But now we're back. For the last 2 months, students have returned to Kennedy, with some modifications. KCTV's Elizabeth Cruz checks in with students and staff to see how the return to school has been going.
As schools make their return to in-person instruction, many students and teachers have different emotions towards the return, varying between nervousness and excitement.
I'm excited to be back in person. It was really hard for me to teach over Zoom and just seeing instead of seeing students' faces, see the black rectangle box with people's names.
Mr. Brian Strutt, a math teacher at John F. Kennedy High School, has mixed emotions about the return of schools in person.
I'm kind of a little bit cautious about coming back with everything still going on, but for the most part, I'm excited to at least be back in the classroom, interacting with students and having fun in the classroom.
Most teachers are aware that the months spent in online learning have affected the students' learning and the content that they remember. So they are finding new ways to adapt to the new obstacles that might interfere with their students' learning.
We've had 15 months of doing virtual learning where I don't really know what the students learned, what they remembered or anything. So I'm really taking a lot of time to kind of go back through the basics and really stress the foundations of everything.
Perhaps one of the most important lessons that this pandemic has taught teachers is to be more understanding and empathetic.
It definitely has made me refocus how I look at students, more than just students, but also more as people. And I don't know exactly what has happened over the past 15, 17 months or whatever with the pandemic during virtual learning. Everybody has been affected differently. So I'm more concerned with the students being more people, and I'm more concerned with their well-being emotionally and socially and everything.
I think that the pandemic made me, I guess, more compassionate, to have more patience and tolerance and understanding, because everybody is struggling in their own way.
The pandemic also showed people a different sense of time that resulted in a change in how they approach people and life in general.
I think it made me slow down a little bit, if that makes a little bit of sense. I think that before we were always in such a rush, where now I have learned to take things more slow, and probably that gives me a better approach.
On the student side, many of them recall online learning as a struggle and are excited that it's over.
I had no motivation to do work since it was online, and I was in my bed, so sometimes I would check into class, but I wasn't really focused. I would be on my phone or I would be sleeping, if I'm being honest.
Students also realize that their teachers are doing the best that they can to be empathetic and understanding.
Teachers have been able to understand that the stress of the pandemic itself has been very big on us. And now some of the students have jobs and they also stress about that. So I feel like they've been able to comprehend that.
And despite feeling some uncertainty about returning to school back in person, most students can agree that they have come out of this pandemic with very important lessons learned.
It really changed my perspective on how important my education is.
I feel like it has taught me to be extremely patient.
I feel like, as long as everyone is doing their part and wearing their mask and trying to at least keep a good amount of distance, we'll be good.
In Silver Spring, I'm Elizabeth Cruz for KCTV.
Halloween is a day we associate with dressing up and trick-or-treating. But what's the origin of Halloween? Keziah Lantham takes a look at some Halloween facts and a fall recipe to go with it.
Hello, I'm KA, and that's KB. You got it? Good. This is the history of Halloween with blueberry muffins. Nuh-uh. Look, I got little time, so no fancy intro. Oh, and in case you want to follow the recipe with me, here. You got it? Good. Moving on. Fact 1. Origins. Your oven? Yeah. Crank that thing up till it's about 1600 degrees colder than a Celtic bonfire, because today's the Samhain Harvest Festival. Grab a crappy costume and get ready to celebrate the dark half of the Celtic calendar, because winter is coming, and the veil between this world and the next is getting thin. Hi, KB. What? Pour this amount of flour and this amount of cornmeal into a large bowl, along with this amount of baking powder and this amount of sugar. And a pinch of salt. Now get another bowl, because we don't want to mix our wet with our dry. But we also can't leave well enough alone, so we're going to mix them eventually. Just like the Christian church. Fact 2. Church takeover. Let me get this out of the way first. Combine 2 eggs and 2 cups of milk. Then mix it before slowly adding in your Don't do it. Don't do it. These muffins gotta be perfect and pure, because today is All Saints Day. We're gonna kill off pagan Lemuria and Samhain by doing literally all of the same things, just under the name All Saints Day or All Hallows Evening. And we're gonna make doubly sure to convert all of them pagans by moving All Hallows Eve to now it's All Hallows Eve. By moving All Hallows Eve to November now it's called Halloween. By moving Halloween to November 1st, like how KB is moving the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients slowly, but surely. Fact numéro 3. Guy Fawkes Day. Spelled F-A-W-K, in case you were wondering. The people of York, England never forgot that Fawkes tried and failed to blow up a Catholic church. So in remembrance and mockery, both children and adults use the cover of darkness to create bonfires and do destructive sugar on November 5th, like Guy Fawkes. And because the New English settlers in America needed a break from taking land from natives, Guy Fawkes Day was also celebrated in America in honor of the guy with the glorious last name. Blueberries will be added to this cornbread recipe. Fact 4. Ghosts, witches, and glowy pumpkin thingies. While we watch KB pour cornbread muffin batter into muffin tins, I'ma talk about ghosts, witches, and jack-o'-lanterns. After the Civil War, take note AP Gov students, more than 500,000 soldiers were dead, most of which died nameless, leaving many to believe that they'd come back to life. Bam! Ghost stories. And I don't mean the anime. You know the Salem witch trials, right? All due to an irrational fear of women with knowledge. These women were a village's medicine brewers, which is why they had cauldrons and brooms, and their pointy hats were literally commonplace fashion of the time. But irrational fears be irrational. So, bam, witches. Jack-o'-lantern. He needs no introduction. The human man named Jack-o'-lantern was a troublemaker who even got thrown out of hell for his antics. But before he was kicked out of hell, Satan gave him a small flame, which Jack put in an empty turtle shell. European children would try to imitate the lit shell by carving turnips and putting candles in them. But everything's bigger in America, so we do it with pumpkins. Bam, jack-o'-lanterns. Fact 5. Halloween. As the American Halloween traditions merged with the European ones, brought over by Scottish and Irish immigrants, sugar hit the fan. The 1930s were chaotic around Halloween. The Great Depression was tough, which made life tough for kids, who had no outlet for being a kid. So on Halloween, they pulled tiny pranks, little innocent things, like using soap to slick the rails of streetcars, which would derail them. Or burning down entire buildings. No wonder the night before Halloween was called Hell Night. But believe it or not, that's how the tradition of trick-or-treating came about. Adults held town-wide parties and gave children sweet treats to try and stop their destructive tricks. Make the holiday family friendly. Over time, as commercialized candy like Hershey's and Baby Ruth's became more popular, kids, why am I going to explain how you know how to trick or treat? And that's the history of Halloween. You're welcome. The end.
That does it for this episode of The Sword. Do you have an idea that might be good for the show? Use the link on the screen to submit your idea. Stay social with KCTV and be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for the latest updates. Join us next time on another great episode of The Sword.